Good evening, Utopian Baseball Universe. It's Joey Buckholtz, and this is the Washington Nationals team preview show. Very excited to be with you tonight. We're going to bring on our special guest here shortly. So tonight we're going to talk about the Nationals, who, if you were in the group last year, they struggled a little bit, took last place in the Eastern Division, but I see them only getting better this year. They were 31st in pitching and 22nd in hitting. But, you know, it's a young team. They're bringing in some pieces this year, so I'm excited to unveil the roster for you a little bit later tonight. If you've been watching our team preview shows, what we normally do, especially when we have a guest, is bring that guest on, talk to them a little bit about their baseball memories. And then at the end of the show, we're going to unveil the 2021 roster for the Nationals. Dave Martinez has submitted his opening day lineup, so we're going to hear that tonight. And as always, if you guys have any questions or comments, I'll kind of keep track of them tonight, and we'll get to those at the end if we have any. But before we get to the Utopian Baseball Universe Nationals, let's talk about the Washington Nationals that we all know and love, and bring on one of the biggest fans of the Nationals that I've met. I just met Erica about a week ago. She was brought into the group by Joe Manzolino, and she's here with us tonight, so I'd like to bring her on. Erica, and Erica, I've been promising the group that you have the coolest of anyone we've ever had on the show. So before we talk about anything, give us a tiny tour of what we're looking at behind you. I think this is awesome.
So I had the opportunity to sit in the suites right above home plate one game a few years back, and I took a picture of the entirety of the field. And what I did with that was I turned it into this, 9-foot by 6-foot mural that I have in my den. And then I placed floating shelves at each position. And so my bobbleheads, I placed them at the actual positions for the players. So you see, I've got the catchers down there. A lot of pitchers I've learned. So some of the pitchers are up at second base, but I've got my wall laid out with all the Nationals.
I love it. Now, do you have any particular favorites that we're looking at right now?
Well, hold on. One of my new ones, even though we weren't able to enter the park last season, there was a promotion, and I'm a season ticket holder, so I was able to get my Dave Martinez holding the trophy.
Nice.
So one of my newest additions, and winning the championship, that's become my new favorite.
Very nice. Now, why don't you tell our viewers how you became a Nationals fan?
Well, let me take it back a little bit. So sure, I'm a baseball fan first. I've got pictures of me as a 2-year-old hanging onto the fence, watching my dad play church league baseball. And then my grandfather, my mom's dad, was a huge baseball fan. As I look back, he was partial to catchers. So he was a big fan of Yogi Berra and Johnny Bench and Pudge Rodriguez. I grew up in Texas, so let me state that up front. Okay. So as a kid, our family vacations each summer were either a long weekend to Houston or a long weekend to Dallas. And the kind of the itinerary was similar. We'd drive out on Friday. Saturday, we'd spend the day at either Astroworld or Six Flags Over Texas. And then on Sunday, we'd get to go to a game. So I remember seeing Nolan Ryan when he was still with the Astros before he ended up with the Rangers.
Nice.
And then grew up, a fan of the Killer Bees as I was a little bit older. Okay. I was also a fan of Pudge Rodriguez. So when he came to the Nationals, that probably tipped the scales for me. Like I said, starting out a baseball fan to begin with, when I moved out here to this area, I would take 2 or 3 trips, I'd say a year, up to Baltimore when the Rangers or the Astros, were in town. And then the Nationals came to town, and I started out the first couple years just going to games here and there. And then a friend of mine convinced me that we should get season tickets. So I've been a season tickets holder with the Nationals since 2007.
Okay.
Sat as a baseball fan, sat in my seat out in the outfield through some of those 100 lost seasons. It was baseball, it was live, and it was in my town. So it didn't matter. I mean, it would have been nice if they were winning more games sooner. But I was probably one of the 16 people in the ninth inning of a game back in those seasons.
Nice.
And then, as a season ticket holder, I started to get more involved in some of the events they had, become friendly with a couple of the players over the years. And, to the point where players, they might not know my name, but they know my face. The last few years, I've made several road trips and always make a point of sitting behind the dugout. I know that you're a huge Mets fan. So,
yes, I am.
I've been to Citi Field quite a few times. I enjoy my visits to Citi, to Citi Field. And just it's been more fun since 2012. So that first year we made the playoffs was very exciting. It was really exciting. Unfortunately, when we got knocked out of the playoffs, those games start late, at least out here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And so at midnight it became my birthday, and we were winning, and my friends in my season plan holder friends in my section were best birthday ever, and they sang happy birthday to me, and we were just having a blast. And then it went so the usher in my section, who I'd also become friendly with, we just kind of sat there in stunned silence for a while, and she was like, "I'm sorry, but you have to go."
Now,
So, leading into 2019, making it past, the wild card, which was the first time we had been in the wild card, and then, making it past the DS, the NLDS, was just, it was a lot of fun. And then my parents had come to visit. My birthday is always around the time of the NLDS, and they had come to visit. We won the NLDS, and everybody was asking, if they make it to the World Series, are you coming back? And they were like, no. And then, when we won that, when we swept the Cardinals in the NLCS, I'm crying and cheering and screaming and hugging, and my phone's ringing and ringing, and I didn't answer it right away. But when I finally called my parents back, they were like, "Can you get us World Series tickets?" So they came back out and get into starting from the beginning and going all the way through that, where I was able to celebrate with my parents. It was just no words for how much that meant.
So you had mentioned that, growing up, you loved all these Astros players, and then the Nationals win the World Series against the Astros. Tell me what that was like. Did you have a lot of friends that were obviously probably rooting for the Astros, and then you're, living, as a Nationals fan now? Walk me through that process.
Well, it was kind of bittersweet. I was full on Nationals. I had my parents decked out full on Nationals, and my dad is active in Facebook, and so he posted some of those pictures, and all their friends back home are calling him a traitor. But just growing up on the Astros, growing up as a fan of the Astros, and knowing that my grandfather was such a fan, it was kind of the best of both worlds. And then for my Nationals to win, it was fantastic. Now, post World Series, the cheating allegations, that kind of, that wasn't so much fun. But it was especially because of those allegations, it was nice for my Nationals to have won.
Now, in Milwaukee, for the start of the season, I know that fans won't be allowed immediately to start the season. What is the situation for the Nationals? Are they going to allow any fans to start the season, like a limited amount, like the NFL is doing, or no fans as of yet?
So officially, there is no word on what they're going to do. What we anticipate is the Nationals will probably be, if they allow fans this season, it will probably be one of the last ones. I live in Virginia, but which is not far from DC. But the mayor of DC, even from the beginning, has been ultra cautious, and I can't blame her for that. But we expect her to remain ultra cautious, and we're hoping we get in the stands. I've got a lot of season ticket holder friends at this point, and we hope we make it in there. But we don't expect to be one of the firsts.
Yeah, 2020 was the first year since 1982 that I did not see a ball game, and it really makes you think about the things we take for granted. Like there were years in the past 5 years or so where I'd only see 5 or so games, and then to not even have the opportunity to see one, I really miss it. Which I'm sure you do, and a lot of our viewers tonight. Just walking in, the smell of the concessions. The crack of the bat. Yeah, all of that stuff I really miss. So I hope we get the chance to do that this year.
Yeah, I was fortunate last year because I made what had become a annual trip to spring training, and I had been there already. I had already been there a week, and I'll always remember that kind of when the NBA shut down for me is like when stuff really hit the fan with COVID. And we were in West Palm Beach. My parents had gone for the first time. We were in the hotel room when that news came out, and thankfully we had already been to several games, and so a little bit different than most people. I did get to see some live baseball last year before everything shut down. In fact, I was at that last game when the Nationals played the Yankees, and waiting to see if it was going to get canceled. It didn't. And as I was walking out of the park, and by the time I made it to my car, the MLB had come out with their announcement that they were shutting it down. So I saw it up to the last minute, but then that was it.
So of this current team, the 2021 team, who are your favorites that you root for the Washington Nationals currently?
Well, so not surprisingly, Juan Soto, I'm a big fan of. I'm a little disappointed he's moving to right field because my season ticket seats, if I ever get to use them again, are in left field. So it was always a lot of fun. We all claimed that he waved at us, and he would wave to the fans in left field. He threw a ball at me once I can't catch, so somebody else, got it, but and he looked like he was disappointed that it didn't make it to me. I said, it's okay, thank you. So I'm gonna miss him in left, but we'll see how things roll out with Kyle Schwarber. The Nats, for their season plan holders, have been doing Zooms with some of the new players that we're bringing in, and nice. I liked his attitude, so we'll see what happens there. Big Trey Turner fan, and again, not a surprise. My friends and I were just looking at the pictures of his new baby. So his wife just had his first son, and we were, kind of laughing a little bit about his middle name Dash. People are predicting, 30 steals by Dash Turner, in 2043.
Nice. I love Trey Turner. He's one of my favorite. It's hard for a Mets fan to say this, but Trey Turner is one of my probably top 5 players right now in the bigs. And I just love Trey Turner. I played fantasy. The last time I played fantasy baseball, we didn't play last year. In 2019, he was actually my first pick that year. Because I was just looking at the steals and the batting average and all those things. So who knows if I play this year? But Trey Turner is going to be one of the guys that I look out for.
Yeah. And then we're just hoping a bunch of guys come back to form. Strasburg, hoping that after his carpal tunnel surgery that all the forearm shaking, comes to an end and people don't start panicking about, his, previously having Tommy John and everything. So hopefully he comes back to his 2019 form. So I'm a homer. I'll say that up front. So, I'm hoping for good things, but as being a big fan of another NL East team, there's a lot of talent coming to the NL East. So we'll see how things go.
I'm just really excited for the season to start. Erica, would you like to stick around while I unveil the Utopian roster for 2021?
Sure. Absolutely.
All right, because I always like to get people's reactions now. I want you to hold me to this. If I'm missing anyone, you tell me where I went wrong. Because none of this is ever set in stone. And, of course, there will be a season 3, and hopefully there's a season 300 at some point. So,
well, it'll be interesting to see if we're at an advantage or disadvantage by having a short history. Because I saw that you've got the Montreal Expos as a team in your Utopian League. So we miss out on any talent we can grab from there.
So, and that's a great point, and I appreciate you mentioning that. So, yeah, the Montreal Expos are in the Utopian Baseball Universe. The Nationals have their own history that is represented here. But the great thing about the Utopian Baseball Universe is that a team like the Nationals or Rockies, Tampa Bay Rays, teams that have 20 or 30 years of history, actually have the same chance to win here because of how we determine winners and losers and the statistics. So, the Nationals didn't do very well last year, but they could come out of the gate and win, 10 in a row. And then we're starting to print Utopian Baseball Universe championship tickets for the Washington Nationals. So, so before I actually reveal the roster, a lot of people are asking about the schedule. And the Washington Nationals actually open the season at home. They're going to open on Friday, March 26th against the Marlins.
That sounds normal.
Yeah. So the way it is this year is all the East teams are hosting teams from the South, and all the North teams are hosting teams from the West to start the season. It's going to be 2 weeks, kind of a home and home. So each team is going to play 6 games at home, and then 6 on the road, and then vice versa. The teams opening on the road for 6 are then going to get 6 home games. But it's going to be 12 games within those divisions to start the season. One thing that makes the Utopian Baseball Universe unique is that you play 12 games within your division, and then you play 3 games against every other team. But the 3 games, for example, the Nationals opening the season against the Marlins, whoever wins that series would have home field if those 2 teams were to face each other in the postseason. So It's not going to be based on record or just a random rotation. If the Nationals take 2 out of 3 from any team outside of their division and they play in the postseason, the Nationals would have home field in either a best-of-5 or best-of-7 series, depending on how far they would get. So every game in the Utopian Baseball Universe means something.
Okay.
Memorial Day. So it looks like the Nationals here won the schedule lottery. On Memorial Day, they're at home against the Phillies.
I mean, it's TC, so we should be at home for all those patriotic holidays.
It's almost a clean sweep here. On 4th of July, they're going to be at home against the Angels.
As they should be.
Labor Day, a home game against the Blue Jays.
Okay.
And then they're going to finish the season on the road against the Red Sox at Fenway Park. So hopefully for Nationals fans watching tonight, those games at Fenway mean something. The Red Sox, of course, last year's East Division champions. So every holiday game is a home game for the Nationals, and then finishing the season on the road. But let's see. I know people are excited about this. Who's starting opening day?
Okay.
Dave Martinez, of course, he has my phone number. He called me earlier. He said, "Joey, I know you've got Erica on tonight.
And he knows me.
People watching. What? He knows you?
Yeah.
He called me and he said, Erica's on the show. Well, let me get you that opening day starting lineup. And here it is. Leading off and playing shortstop, the aforementioned Trey Turner, Dash's dad. Right fielder batting second, Bryce Harper, is a Washington National in the Utopian Baseball Universe. Okay. Batting third and playing left field, Juan Soto.
Okay.
Batting fourth, third baseman, Anthony Rendon. Yes, he's a National here, guys.
Aw.
Batting fifth and playing first base, the first ever draft pick of the Washington Nationals, Ryan Zimmerman. Batting sixth on opening day, catcher Yan Gomes.
Okay.
Batting seventh, a favorite of mine, second baseman Daniel Murphy.
Okay.
Batting eighth will be center fielder Victor Robles.
All right.
And for the second straight year, taking the bump on opening day is Steven Strasburg.
Wow. I'm surprised. I'm a little surprised.
He did. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
Not that he shouldn't start. I mean, there's a lot of us that think that he should be the opening day starter, but you just don't do that with Max Scherzer
Here's why Strasburg is getting the start on opening day. Last year, for a last place team, Strasburg was 11-9 with an ERA just over 3. Max Scherzer was 6-16.
Yeah.
So Max Scherzer not starting opening day, but we'll get to the rotation here.
Okay.
Scherzer is pitching on Saturday against the Marlins, so he's going to get the second start. Free agent signee Ray Brown from the Negro Leagues is going to start on Sunday.
Nice.
Earned a spot in the rotation. One of your favorites, Gio Gonzalez, is going to get the first start.
My Gio.
They're playing Tampa Bay right after the Marlins. So Gio Gonzalez will start against Tampa Bay.
Okay.
And starting the season in the 5-hole is Jordan Zimmerman, one of Nick Korth's favorite players. Am I right, Nick, if you're watching? And then, of course, Strasburg would get the final start against Tampa Bay, the first start against the Marlins, the last start against Tampa Bay. They also have, the Nationals will have Anibal Sanchez and Patrick Corbin as options.
Okay.
If one of these starters were to falter, or if they need a long reliever, spot starter, something like that. But to start the season, Strasburg, Scherzer, Brown, Gonzalez, and Zimmerman.
Is Tanner Roark on the 40-man?
Tanner Roark is not. However, and I always try to mention this during the shows, the hardest thing in doing all of this was creating final rosters, because everyone, every team's going to have someone that's left off.
Yep.
You have a team like the Yankees, Red Sox. There's so much talent that there's players from those histories that just didn't fit. So that's why having the Expos and the Bulls is a good fit. I will tell you that Roark, just because he's not on the roster this year, it doesn't mean he won't be in the future. I'm pretty sure he actually was on the team last year. I don't have it in front of me. No, he wasn't. So he could be one of the first additions that we do next year. It's part of the reason why I try to get the feedback, because I made a lot of mistakes last year.
Well, I think I'm happy. I'm happy with the 5. Our 5-man rotation. Something always happens, and so good to know that Anibal and Patrick are on standby.
Well, and one of the things too is I want to, this is going to be around as long as the universe wants it. I've got to have some people to bring in next year, for big free agent splashes. So like, it'd be fun, next January to say Roark's a National, get ready. So this is what the bullpen is going to look like to start the season. We've got Drew Storen.
Okay.
Sean Doolittle. Kyle Barraclaw. Hopefully Kyle's parents aren't watching right now. Tanner Rainey.
Okay.
Yavi Guerra. Tyler Clippard. My daughter loves Tyler Clippard. And Tony Sipp.
Tony Sipp.
Tony Sipp was a National for...
I talked to him at the bar in Milwaukee. I'm surprised that he's in the bullpen,
That's funny, because I'm 20 miles north of Milwaukee. Maybe I was at that bar.
At the Pfister?
I've been to the Pfister. I don't remember going for like a Nationals Brewers game, but I've definitely been at the Pfister.
The significance of that road trip for me was that was 19 and 31 was right around that time
when they turned it around.
Well, right before they turned it around.
Right before,
there was a lot of consternation as the players went through the lobby.
Before I get to the rest of the team, what did you think of Miller Park?
I liked it a lot. It was really nice, easy to get to and from. I paid for a VIP tour of the park, and I've been to other parks. I like to do park tours, and other places. VIP means you get one extra thing. At Miller Park, it was truly VIP. My friend and I, we had our own tour guide, and it was just the two of us, and got to see a lot of the park, learn a lot of the history. We ran into Bob Uecker. So
Did you get to meet Bob Uecker?
Yeah, it was funny because we were coming off the elevator and he was coming on, and I'm not shy. So I asked him, Mr. Uecker, can we get a picture with you? And he was like, sure. So he put his arm around my friend and I. He's got his rings and everything. And it was really cool. And then he got in the elevator. We went on, and the tour guide told us, she goes, I'm supposed to tell you if we see him not to speak to him, but I didn't think we would see him. She goes, but once you asked and he smiled and said yes, she goes, I wasn't going to stop it.
There's people watching this tonight that can relate to that. That's for another time. We love Bob Uecker, by the way. If Bob Uecker's watching today, we love Bob Uecker. But I had a similar situation once when I was a VIP for it was the year after my book came out, and a friend, I have I guess a mutual friend with someone, and he was able to get me because the Mets were in town. He was able to get me a press pass, and the first thing they told me was, "Don't approach Mr. Uecker. His door is going to be closed." So I got to meet everyone else.
They put paper over the glass so that people don't peek into his booth. Yep.
So I got to meet everyone else from the Mets and the Brewers, and they said, "Yeah, don't even try." But we love them. We love Mr. Baseball. Let's get to the rest of this roster because I want to know exactly where I messed up here.
So one more bullpen question. No Daniel Hudson?
So Daniel Hudson was on the roster last year.
Okay.
And so last year's rosters were a little bit they weren't balanced. And then I wanted to make sure that everyone had the equal amount of everything last year. And for whatever reason, I had like way too many people in the Nationals bullpen last year. So Hudson was on
because we have a rotating door.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that because there's not players leaving franchises or trades or anything like that. Hudson's basically in AAA.
Okay.
He belongs to this team. He could come back next year. Last year I had Oliver Perez.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I had to drop 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I had to drop 2 to get it to 7.
Okay.
I'm trying to think who the other one was that I. Oh yeah, so Hudson and Perez were on last year. I had to drop them this year, but they are property, if you will, of the Nationals, and
we own their contracts.
They're under contract. If the universe can bring them back, we bring them back. There's just no question about that.
Yeah.
So the rest of the bench looks like this. Wilson Ramos will be Gomes' backup. We have Matt Adams.
Big City.
Luis Garcia.
Uh-huh.
Asdrubal Cabrera, one of my favorites with the Mets.
Okay.
Ian Desmond. Your boy Jason Worth.
Yeah.
Adam Eaton, and another favorite here in Milwaukee, Eric Thames.
Yep. So
that's the current 30-man roster. Like I said, we could see Hudson come back at some point, Perez. Anyone in the future that comes up would belong to the Nationals. So if we have they draft another guy like Harper or Strasburg first overall and he makes it to the big leagues in a couple years, he will be a National.
Okay.
And again, everything is kind of determined by fate and what these spreadsheets think, but it's nowhere but up, I think, for this Nationals team. Winnable games to start the season. Now I'm alienating Marlins fans, but winnable games for the Nationals.
Hey, I'm a little surprised that we got Daniel Murphy.
Yeah,
With you being a Mets fan and all.
Well, second base for the Mets is kind of spoken for. One of my favorite players, Jeff McNeil, is one of my current favorite players. And then Edgardo Alfonso has done so many great things for the Mets that I just figured I want Murphy in here. I have no problem having him shine with another great team. So I root for baseball. Before I was a Mets fan or a Brewers fan, I was a baseball fan. So I'm just happy to have him here. Erica, we have a ton of comments. Some of the comments, people have the option to press a link that gives us permission to give their name. If they didn't, it's anonymous. But I'm going to get to some of these here. Some of them are just people being nice. Go, Erica. Someone says, go, Erica.
I have friends rooting for me.
My friend Andrew thinks your mural behind you is awesome, and he is correct.
Thank you.
Somebody else said, great mural, great bobbleheads. Andrew also comments that a lot of your favorites ended up in the Hall of Fame. Andrew also mentioned that he went to a Nationals Astros in WPB last season. Now,
that's West Palm Beach.
West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
Andrew is crushing the acronyms tonight, and thankfully our guest knew what that meant, because I didn't. So thank you, Erica. And then just really nice people tonight saying hello to both of us. Someone says I have a cute smile. I don't know. I think I'm just nervous. I don't know who said that, but I'm going to find out here in a couple minutes. Who said that cute smile. Someone said the Brewers should have beat the Nationals in the 19 playoff. Come on.
No.
Come on.
You got to know the field. I dug that divot off myself. No.
And then it looks like we've got a Rendon fan. Thumbs up. Ian, someone is saying Ian ? Ian Desmond, yes, is a national for this.
I see that. Ian was a fan favorite. Great person. The results as a player were mixed at times. At times there were some, great hits, but then there were some just mind-boggling strikeouts. I thought he was always pretty good on defense. But the thing I would point out, and with Ian, with Worth, with some of the other players on the team, and I know it's not a measurable stat, unfortunately, but what I think was the biggest factor in 19 was the camaraderie and I can't think of the word right now. I blanked out on myself. Team chemistry. That's what I was thinking. Team chemistry in the dugout and everything, I think, is a huge factor. While it's not a measurable stat, I like who we have on the roster for that reason.
It's such an important piece, and that's why it's so hard to make predictions, because all you really have to measure it is what they did last year, what they did 2 years ago, statistics, projections. But team chemistry is huge, and that's why we have, especially in baseball, we have a lot of teams surprise the league and have more success than what's projected, because nobody considers that chemistry. And if you have good chemistry, it can, I'm not saying it happens all the time, but it can lead you to that next level. I mean, I could name some other team, like I don't know if the 04 Red Sox are the greatest team I've ever seen, but that team had the best team chemistry I've seen maybe in 40 years as a fan.
Yeah.
And, they were a team that was down 3-0 in the American League Championship Series. They just kept believing. So it's a huge factor. I think a lot of my viewers tonight that are Brewers fans saw a lot of great team chemistry in 2008, 2011, even some of the more recent teams in 18-19 that were playoff teams as well. Erica, I have to have you back at some point. You've been a fantastic guest. During the season, we're going to have a recap show every night, 10 or 15 minutes. And if the Nationals are doing well, if they're ripping off 8, 9, 10 games in a row, I might call you and say, hey, we got some big news to break tonight. So I'd love to have you back at some point.
It would be my pleasure.
And thank you to Joe for bringing Erica in. Anything else you want to add tonight, Erica? Thanks again.
Thanks to Joe as well. We met through his niece, who I played football with, and when he was living in the area, I invited him and then his wife to come be season ticket holders, for the Nationals. I know his loyalties with the Dodgers. I understand that, but he and his wife were good friends. They were able to get the seats right behind me, so I miss them being in town, and we still keep in touch and talk baseball, whenever we can.
That's awesome. Like I said, I can't thank you enough for being on tonight. I'll reach out to you at some point. I hope you enjoy what we're doing here. For everyone else watching, let Erica know how great she did. And I hope to see everyone tomorrow at 7 o'clock. We're going to be back with another team preview, the Cleveland Indians. My guest is going to be Robert Kula, who's a big Indians fan. And if you guys know me at all, I'm a huge Browns fan. So we'll have maybe some Browns content tomorrow. Thanks again to Erica. Thank you,
Joey.
Thank you. And then thank you, everyone, for watching tonight. And we will see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock for the Cleveland Indians. Take care.
Night.